Hello, you all. This is Ollie Wu. I'm back with yet another video tutorial. And today I'm not using my regular DAW for analysis, but I'm using a special program called PluginDoctor. This is from a company called DDMF, and it is around $40, and sometimes you can also get it on sale for about half price, but it's totally worth the investment. What it can do is load two different plugins for comparison, and it can even check hardware. But let's keep it simple for now. Simplicity is the motto here. Now, you could also do this in your DAW, just instead of the white noise or pink noise generator we used in the last tutorials, we would use a simple sine generator. And in this case, I set it to about 100 Hertz and minus 12 decibels. And when you just have a plugin in here, you see mostly it's just gonna give you the bass frequency. How does this now look with our plugins in play? So this is the famous Variety of Sound Ferric TDS MK3 plugin, one of my favorite tape plugins right now. Tape machine, saturation, dynamics, but we're not looking at dynamics, so they're all the way down, but we're looking at saturation. And when I go switch off the bypass, you can see exactly what the saturation does. Comes in here very gently, and compared to a lot of other plugins, even from very famous companies, very expensive plugins, comes in very, very gently. And I just love the sound of it. Unfortunately, it's only available on Windows. So I have another plugin here, to be played, to be crushed. And this is oftentimes even free. And you can see, it has all the usual things. For mixing, I just learned that it might look good in your spectrum, but it doesn't sound real great if you're going well below 50. So I just keep it kind of between 50 and 100. Now the crusher does a totally different thing. So this is the main feature, but I'm not using this. I'm just using the drive feature here. And that's really cool because it looks already pretty similar. And I had it on about 33 here. You can maybe pull it up a bit more. It's not too different actually up here. Now the gain is important, kind of changes the structure, and usually also the input. So we will also change the input level here. Okay, let's look at both of them together. So the cool thing is that it's not just one setting, but in a pretty wide range, we actually get pretty similar results, right? So this is where you can play around a bit with the mix and the gain and the drive, resonance, this, okay. Yeah, so for this use case, this is really pretty amazing and comes really, really close. So that's a good recommendation. Just mimicking the saturation. Keep in mind, tape plugins are very complex. They have some EQ aspects. They have some dynamic aspects. So there's a lot more to it than just the saturation to really mimic it all. Okay, now I have another type of saturation plugin here, which is a tube preamp as it exists in the PSP Noble Q plugin, which is a famous Pultec EQ emulation, and that has definitely a tube amp inside. You can see here valve, which also means tube. You can see our bass frequency, and when I click this in here, you can do some variations. And as we get louder, usually with tube, we're expecting a second harmonic to be a bit softer than the third. And that, remember, for tape, we didn't even have the second harmonic. We were starting more with the third and the fifth and so on. So just the odd harmonics. So yeah, this is kind of the curve that is picture book. I tried to mimic this with this clipper plugin here. It's not quite as nice as we had it with the last example of the tape plugin. You can play around a bit with the engines. You also see that character makes everything just go higher. Similarly, the mix, of course, pulls it back, but let's keep it at 100% for now. And both the resonance and the strength seem to kind of move this. Now, if you go a bit higher in this, you can see that eventually there is the same kind of movement in the other spectrum, right? So I was just trying to set these so they're kind of moving along in a similar way. So that to me makes it at least a bit more similar. And I hope it will also sound the same. That's still to be proven. And you can see that in some cases, the second one is higher on lower level. As it's here, it's pretty much even, and then it starts getting there. Now, these are not coming in as high, so we'll just have to face it. We're not matching the whole spectrum as nicely as we wanted to, but approximately I think it's similar. You might have to adjust some more settings on this one as you change the input level. Now here's another example for tube amps. This is the Fuse Audio Labs V-Pre72, a free plugin. And this here is also free and kind of older and a classic. And it's TV Pro Audio GSAT Plus. And here you can set input and output and mix, of course, but you can also select different modes. Classic, for example, is more the odd only for tape saturation, and I would say the others look more like tube or even transistor. In this level, actually, they all look more like a transistor, where the second is higher, or at least, not the third is higher. So it's a bit harder to say. And you can adjust the odd and even overtones, harmonics, which is really nice. So when I bring in this other one, let's see how that looks. Okay. Yes. So we can try to get close. But again, it's a bit challenging hard. There's a big range where it's hard to mimic it all. I mean, here we're back to our kind of tube shape where second is lower than third, and then the fourth is lower and the fifth is higher, etc. And then I needed to adjust the input to really do this change here, where I'm trying to kind of find the place where it's kind of rolling off in these waves. So I think about here would be right? Seems to overlap now. Yeah, it's hard to get like the whole range doing the same thing, but it's fairly similar in its behavior. So to finish this video off, I looked at a lot of different preamps that claim to have transistors in them, and which one, if not the Neve preamp, should be an example here. But even different manufacturers cannot agree on the harmonics. So oftentimes it looks exactly like tube, and then maybe if you really push it hard, it eventually turns more into what I would think looks like a transistor curve, or even into the opposite, where the third harmonic all of a sudden is dipped down. And so that's the opposite of tube. But I honestly cannot find, I looked through at least 20 different plugins right now from all kinds of famous names and stuff that I like from the sound. So I think for transistor plugins, you really have to look out and find your favorite just by listening. Also, I will show you an alternative way of getting the sound in the next tutorial. So tune back in, and that's Olivu for today. Bye.